Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I bid to our beloved lecturer, Madam Shamimi. Today, we are going to discuss about our executive summary based on the article titled Exploring Victim Blaming Attitudes in Cases of Rape and Sexual Violence, the Relationship with Patriarchy, which is written by Hazrina Begum binti Abdul Hamid.
Before we start the presentations, I would like to introduce myself and my partner. My name is Tengku Nur Aina Shamimi binti Tengku Sana Abidin and my partner is Nur Fatihah binti Muhammad Zaki. Our contents of presentations will include introductions, procedures and also findings will be explained by Nurul Fatihah and the rest, which is conclusions, limitation and recommendation, will be explained by me.
Now, without wasting any time, let's move on to the introduction and issue. According to Hazrina Abdul in 2021, men have been portrayed throughout the history as being naturally dominating in terms of identity and status, whereas women have been portrayed as being subordinate to men. This position supports the patriarchal notion of male dominance or male supremacy. According to Hicksman in 2016, due to these circumstances, the dominant male role tends to govern and regulate women's decisions and actions about their bodies and life. As a consequence, women have been socialized to feel inferior and ashamed of themselves for expressing themselves in any way. When they feel ashamed, they are supposed to blame themselves. Thus, victim-blaming mentalities emerged from this belief and were regarded as a common kind of defense and are used to excuse sexual assault. It shifts responsibility for the abuse from the offender to the victim. Thus, the purpose of this study is to examine how victim-blaming attitudes have been and are still utilized as a defense against criminal liability. Now, let's move on to procedure. For the procedure, the article adopts a feminist viewpoint and presents a unique method for a multifaceted piece of research. The greater part of the research for these articles was performed through written analysis such as published reports, case law, books, journal article, legislation, newspaper, magazine articles, and websites of non-governmental organizations, or also is known as NGOs. On the other hand, statistics are also acquired from non-governmental organizations, websites that include information gathered from Malaysian police and also government organizations. Now, I will be discussing about the integral part of this executive writing, which is the findings. The first finding that the writer had discussed is the institutionalization of patriarchal norms. The institutionalizations of the patriarchal norms is present in the legal system, especially in cases involving rape and also sexual assaults. In this sense, female victims who do not exhibit overt symptoms of stress or physical assault will be viewed with suspicion and have a lower likelihood of being believed by law enforcement and the legal system. Thus, due to their failure to fit the traditional mold of a real rape victim, women are the ones who would be blamed and will be held responsible in these cases. The second finding that the writer has been discussed is the constructions of women's sexuality. In Malaysia, religion has traditionally been used as a weapon to oppress women and assign guilt for sexual assaults to females. Some sermons directly associate or imply that sexual violence is committed against women who do not cover their aura and wear tudung. Such sermons are biased, rude, and inaccurate in addition to being erroneous. Additionally, it is irrational as there have been cases of women being raped despite covering their aura. Thus, the advice to cover up your aura does not help those who have been sexually assaulted. Rather, it transfers the responsibility to the victim.
The third finding is limited criminal justice protections toward female victims. In most cases, this discrimination of victim blaming and also huge influence of partial belief are noticeable in rape cases because rape myths are widely employed in the courts. The judges frequently attempt to discredit the victim's statements of evidence and act as they are the one being accused upon the inhumanly actions. For that reasons, women are continuously kept under control to remain inferior, whereas men are given the benefits of the doubt. The Malaysian justice system is criticized to be gender biased and lead to more cases that downgrade the dignity of the women. Despite the existence of the legislation, it is not actually able to stop the act of excessive accusations, and justice for women is typically not easy to achieve. To conclude, patriarchal norms that instill through generations becomes woman identity and victimhood. The finding reveals that women continuously struggle to defend their identities, right, and even their own victimization. Hence, making victims the one to bear the responsibility not only results in psychological problems, but worse, when the goal of rape and sexual violence law still cannot be fulfilled. As a recommendation, Malaysia needs to uphold the law as per conventions on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women provisions that justify the right to vote, to education, for health and employment, to stand for elections, and equal protection against rape and other forms of sexual violence upon women. Additionally, Article 8 of Federal Constitution also prohibits any form of discrimination on the basis of gender. Furthermore, the justice system should listen well to victims' complaints and evidence, as their cooperation is crucial in preventing future cases under the same matter and not limited to certain standards. In addition, school textbooks should be neutral and portray women as equal to men in life to prevent toxic masculinity. One limitation of this study is the author mainly generalize and give readers feminist approaches. It cannot be denied that both men and women should be equal under the law. However, this form of feminism could be harmful in making an ideological foundation that is anti-male. Feminist approaches will create confusion among society in their actions. Men have to think twice when complimenting women in fear of being called a harasser instead. Next, the study does not uphold the emphases included in Al-Quran and As-Sunnah as a Muslim in regard to covering their aura. It draws a line that covering aura is not necessary since catcall would still happen anyway. Moreover, there is a lack of overview outside of legal field like questionnaire among the society in their actual experience of this matter. With that, it already comes to the end of the discussions. That's all from us. Thank you.